Hi everyone, Ben again from exercise.co.uk. So today we're talking about the weight training tips that we wish we had when we first started our training. I've personally been training for about 10 years myself and made a lot of mistakes along the way. I had to learn from them as we've gone along. So we compiled a list of all the advice that we wish we had when we first started training, so that we could save ourselves a lot of time training the wrong way, so we could make progress training the right way. So for the sake of watching this 5-6 minute video, it'll be well worth the advice that comes from it to save you a lot of time in your training over the long time, because I certainly wish I had this advice available to hand when I first started out training, and a lot of other people here do as well, I'm sure. So we hope you enjoy it and we hope you find the tips useful. So the first point is probably the most obvious one, and you more than likely already heard this one before, but it's that form is better than weight, along with all sorts of different ways of saying it, such as leave your ego at the door when you walk into the gym and all those different types of sayings. But it's in there for a reason, and it's top of the list for us because it's still probably the biggest thing that's holding back your training if you're just starting out, and it is not lifting as heavy as you can possibly try. It's controlling the form, making sure you're doing the exercise correctly in the right way possible, so that you're activating the right muscle groups instead of recruiting the wrong muscle groups to lift a weight that you can't actually manage. It's always better to make sure you're working in a nice, slow, controlled motion and maximizing the muscle growth and activation from doing the exercise correctly, and making sure you're hitting the muscles that you want, because you could just be training a lot of muscles that you don't want and you won't see the growth and the results that you're looking for in the end. Second point on the list is that volume does not equate to muscle growth. So when we say volume, we're talking about the sheer volume of sets and reps that you do in a given workout. So there can be a habit. I did it myself, thinking if I did 50 push-ups, maybe not 50 a day, but something like that, as many push-ups and sit-ups as I could do every single day, that must surely equate to more and more muscle growth, because I'm training the muscles more frequently, and that will mean I will get bigger insanely quick, which couldn't be more wrong if I tried. And I spent a lot of time doing too many push-ups and too many sit-ups without seeing the results that I want. And it could be down to anything. It could be doing 7 or 8 sets of bench press because you want to build your chest and you want it to get bigger, so you feel like you need to train it more and more to see the growth that you want. But a lot of recent studies have actually shown that less volume, heavier weights, if done correctly, and actually overloading the muscle groups safely using heavier weight, but with less sets and less reps, and allowing your muscles the time to recover, rest and recuperate. So even just training, say, your chest once a week, giving it plenty of time to rest, has been shown not to actually hinder performance and muscle growth, but accelerate it and improve it. So those studies have represented that those who have done higher volume in training, 20 sets per week, even just training the chest once a week with 20 sets, can actually hinder muscle growth done in one go. Third on the list is one of my absolute favorites to correct, is that rep speed is important, extremely important, but not in the way of doing reps fast is important. You should always make sure that your reps are nice and slow and controlled, particularly and especially if you're using lighter weights and higher reps. You need to be controlling the motion that you're going through. So you should be really doing at least 5 seconds per rep, so 3 to 4 seconds on the up and 1 to 2 on the down. So really making sure that the time that your muscles are under tension is drawn out. So you don't want to be repping really quickly. There are certain circumstances where you're lifting heavier weights to overload the muscle group, and you're intentionally training with a higher rep speed because you're using the heavier weight, but that is limited to specific types of training. The general consensus is that you need to be keeping your muscles under tension for a longer period of time to help maximize your muscle growth. So point number 4, a really important one for the types of exercises that you should be doing when you're starting out specifically. So if you're looking to grow your muscles as quickly as possible, which a lot of people are when they're first starting out, which we always advocate not to go silly when you're training at first and be too fixated on muscle growth and how quick you can put it on. But one of the most effective things to do is the type of exercises, and you should really be focusing on compound movements, which when we talk about compound exercises, we specifically mean exercises that use more than one muscle group to execute the lift. So we're talking about a lot of exercises like squats, which are an amazing exercise not just for your lower body but for fueling muscle growth throughout your entire body, thanks to the increase in testosterone levels that they produce and the sheer size of the muscle groups that they're training. So some of the fundamental ones: squats, you've also got deadlifts in there, bench press is another one, the overhead military press, a lot of barbell movements here, but you can also use dumbbells as well. So all of these are multi-muscle movements that are working more than one muscle group every time that you train them, which also means that you can lift heavier with those particular types of movements. So the other types of exercises are isolation movements, which are the converse, that are just working one specific muscle group. Like say for example a tricep kickback, where you're just extending your arm backwards, is only working this one small muscle group here, whereas an overhead press is recruiting your front deltoids, side deltoids, rear deltoids, your traps and your triceps as well. So there's a lot more recruitment from a wider range of muscles there that are coming together to allow you to lift more weight. Next on the list, we're moving away from the specifics of actually training and to the other most important part, which took me a long time to get right, is your nutrition. So you can't out-train a bad diet, as the cliche saying goes, but it does really resonate. The biggest changes that I personally recognized myself was when I really got down to streamlining my nutrition and getting that right, and all the hard work and effort that I was putting into working out really started to pay off. So it does mean that you do have to scrap the stigma of you can eat whatever you want just because you've been training. It will not work that way, unfortunately. It does mean you have to be in a calorie surplus to actually build muscle, which means eating more calories than your daily calorie intake demands. If you're in a calorie deficit, which is eating less calories than your body demands, that's not going to be conducive to helping you fuel muscle growth. So you do actually have to be eating much more, but of the right things. So you want to be having carbs and protein before and after you train, and then you also want a mix of healthy fats in there as well to help your body recover, and you want to be taking protein consistently throughout that, but it needs to be from a good source as well. Next up is advice not heard too frequently, but it's actually a really useful one, I think. It's not to run before you can walk. So it's being patient with your training, which means not flying in there and training 7 days a week, hammering your body and expecting to see results come nice and quickly. We always advocate that if you're going to make a change, like with weight training and building muscle, to do it as a lifestyle choice and be patient with it as well. Perseverance and patience will be the main things long term that help you see the results that you want, and just tempering your expectations with how quickly you expect to see results, and accepting that the changes that you're making are changes for life and for a long period of time. So having to wait an extra 2 to 3 months to build an extra couple of pounds more muscle is well worth it for the long-term results, so that once you've got there you can just sustain those levels. But try not to replicate what you see everybody else doing in the gym. Those guys and girls maybe are training a long time, and their bodies are more suited and adapted to training in that specific way. But initially, just take it steady, just start training 3 to 4 days a week maximum to allow your muscles ample time to rest and recuperate. And even if you're in advanced training, you should still be allowing your body plenty of time to rest and recuperate as well. Okay, so our final point on the list that we've got, I wouldn't say it's the most important one, as they're all really important. There's not one that's more important than the other, but this one's a really good one. Is to track your progress and set goals, but set realistic goals as well. And when we say track your progress, we mean things like writing your weights down that you've been doing through every session, so that when you come to your next one you can see what weight you lifted previously, and it gives you the motivation to best that weight and strive to improve, and that will really help your results come along much quicker, is keeping a track of those weights as well. Also making sure you've got a plan for your training, so making sure you know before the week exactly what it is that you're going to be doing. It doesn't have to be the specific days, keep some flexibility there so your training's not too rigid and it adapts to your lifestyle as well, but an idea of how many days you're going to be training and the muscle group split that you're going to be doing throughout that workout as well. And keep that fixed for about 2 to 3 months, have a rest for a week, and then change the plan to keep it fresh. You've always got to keep changing things around. Your body will really thank you for it, your muscles will react and respond in a really positive way, and also it'll give you a fresh mindset when you're going into your training as well, and really help stop things stagnating and plateauing as well. So stay tuned, because we've got plenty more content, advice and ideas, not just for strength training but for everything related to exercise. And don't forget to like, follow, share and subscribe. Thank you.